we're going to talk about social change, and it is almost cliche that we say that society and the world is changing rapidly because like people have been saying that like for hundreds or maybe thousands of years. So what is rapid change like? Well, something is too rapid, like when you feel that you're difficulty coping. Uh, so just want to tell you, like about 30 years ago, like I came across a book written by a psychologist um, talking about the saturated self, and back then people were talking about the postmodern situation, and how like our world is like getting saturated. Well, if I am going to describe the phenomenon, I probably would be saying that no, it's not only the self is saturated, our entire life is saturated. It's not only the saturated, it's like oversaturated. Uh, what do I mean? It means that like there are always so many things that you could, in theory, have chosen to do, and you can never exhaust like all these possibilities. Like, give you a simple example. If you like to read, it is very obvious that you cannot finish reading all the good books that are worth reading in your lifetime. If you're a traveler, right, you can spend your entire life and you would not have like visited every possible spot on this planet. And well, like the people are already thinking about traveling beyond this planet, right? Uh, for that matter. So let us come back to like social change. So basically, uh, only the changes that are relevant to us, right, we'll be paying attention to. And basically, we cannot even keep track of all these like changes. And who knows, right, what are the most important changes? The most important changes, to some extent, is contingent upon like who you are and what you're interested in. So let me like start somewhere, because like saying that it's like very individual, very subjective, doesn't really help people too much. Um, Maybe I can start with this. I can start with like what the career counselors are interested in, right? They're interested in changes in the labor market, right? For example. So what is happening, all right, in this area of like helping or counseling young people or students who are making the transition from school to work. Well, first of all, the transition to school from school to work uh, is going to be like increasingly, fussy, meaning that like some people, in a way, will never leave school, right? So you may have like finished the degree and then like you start working for a company or you start your own business, but you'll be taking courses, you'll be learning, you'll be like uh, watching videos such as this one, right? Uh, to equip yourself, right, with knowledge and skills that you need, right, to do whatever you're interested in. Or you may also be like doing this for fun, right? You may be doing this like for self-improvement, like what I said. So basically the transition from school to work again like has changed, right? In the past, right, when you leave school, you go to work and you do not go back to school again. But now, like a lot of people are constantly returning to school, and then soon enough, this concept of returning to school may not even make sense because you have always been like associated with some form of learning, some programs, some courses, right? So, so that is like one of the changes. Right? The other thing that people are paying attention to, obviously, is like the simple model of like work hard, study hard, get into university, get like a degree or a professional qualification, and then you'll be okay working in a career for the rest of your life. This like particular model uh, is disappearing. It is no longer relevant and it's no longer even real for a lot of people. So basically, in whatever profession you're in, you will have to continue learning. You have to like keep upgrading knowledge and skills. Uh, the other thing that is also important, right, in the kind of changes that I'm talking about is the um, ongoing depreciation of academic credentials, right? When I was in university, like in the 70s, if you had a university degree, right, in whichever field, you would have a distinct advantage over other people who didn't. The place I came from, Hong Kong, like when I completed my first degree at the University of Hong Kong, uh, about less than 2% of the people in my age bracket, right, had the opportunity to get a university education. So uh, if you look at like what is happening now, right, like when you have like 30-40% of people receiving college or university education in most countries, and then in some high-income countries, you have like a even higher percentage of people receiving tertiary education. So the value of a university degree, in my opinion, is like steadily declining. And a lot of people have already realized that like the degree uh, um, doesn't get them anywhere. And it is not unusual, for example, in Toronto, for people to earn a university degree, find out that there's actually like not much opportunity open for them. Some of these people actually go back to what was traditionally conceived as a lower level of education. They go back to the community colleges to receive a vocational trainings to make themselves employable, right? So that like they can move on. Some of the statistics that are coming out from the community colleges like show that like a growing number of the students actually have already got degrees, but they needed this like diploma or this like vocational education to make themselves employable. So the whole idea of like education and vocational or professional training um, has also been transformed. I can go on and talk about all the changes like in the labor market. Like we can talk about like university degrees not being a any guarantee of like high income, good compensation and reward, and then like what are rewarding professions have also shifted a fair bit over the last round. Like so, uh, there was a time when an MBA is the ticket to a good job and a good life, but not anymore. There was a time when investment banking uh, was the hottest thing, and now we're understanding that like IT generally is seen as an attractive field, but then you also see a lot of casualty of people who are uh, sort of like eliminated, displaced, or rendered irrelevant or redundant with the new advancement that are happening, well, again, rapidly within the IT field. So we are looking at like a rapidly changing environment, but like what are the things that are changing? You can take so many different angles. Like I give you one example. The rise of China was not on people's radar screen a while ago, but now when you're looking at like global economy and the development of the labor market globally, we probably cannot afford to ignore China. And I just want to also say that we're not only even talking about China, we're talking about countries that in the past um, were not considered like important players on the global platform. Like Japan became prominent like during the 70s, and now more recently, uh, I think we have been like watching countries like South Korea, also rising in its capacity as an economy and also as a hub for knowledge production. And then obviously we cannot afford to not talk about India. And there's also like a sort of a huge global reality out there whose potential has not been fully realized. And we only talk about them in like pretty much negative stereotypic way, but I really want to invite you to a more positive attention to the Islamic world that stretches across the globe. So what we are looking at, like you talk about like changes, right? So there are like all sorts of changes that we can be talking about. So how is it like relevant, right, to what we're talking in terms of life world design, right? So one of the things that are important is like instead of like matching, you know, you as who you are now, right, an undergrad, with like some like fantasized illusory construction of like a future career, what would be actually more important and more valuable to you is the ability to read these changes and to extract information that are relevant to your own needs and utilize them, right, to inform your decision making with regard to major areas of your life work. So that what I just said actually, right, uh, uh, is a good summary of one of the key ideas or principles of life world design. So maybe I should like conclude this segment by just like pointing out a few things. Like one, yes, like things changes are happening. Yes, and these changes can be overwhelming, and then we can feel oversaturated because there are so many things happening, and we never have the time and capacity to like effectively process all of them. So therefore, we have to be selective, and we also have to rely on people to do some of this like information processing for us. And this is like part of the work that we're doing now with this like video. And life world design, right, basically requires us to be prepared for rapid change uh, in the future instead of like making one right career decision when you're 18 or 20, uh, but to be prepared to for a lifelong journey of changes and being well equipped, right, at each turn, right, to respond to those changes in a positive manner so that your own personal needs are met, so that the things that are valuable to you, your quests, your strivings, can be achieved or fulfilled. So that is the key spirit behind life world design.